Who were the early influences on you? You came along, Hank Williams was gone by the time you were
Oh yeah,
singing
way
songs.
gone, yeah.
Elvis was... Well,
Elvis was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elvis was one of my very favorites.
And I know you met him.
Yes.
And he did you a big favor by calling you the female Elvis.
Yes, yes. Yeah, he was wonderful. He was everything I thought he would ever be.
Well, let me ask an imprudent question. Did he try to hit on you?
Yes. Yes, he did.
So we have
How'd
news.
you know?
Well, I didn't know, just something told me, well, maybe.
Well, my sister was sitting next to me, and she was saying, oh my God, when you weren't looking, he was looking at you, and blah, blah, blah. And then I think he found out how young I was. He asked me to the second show. He didn't, like, hit on me, but, you know, he was flirtatious, and I loved it.
Flirtatious until he figured out you were jailbait.
I think, yeah, exactly. You know, come back to the next show. We're gonna have a party after the next show. I said, oh, Mr. Presley, I got to go home and tell my mom and dad about this. I can't wait. But you know, when you asked me about the songs, not really having an idea of what they were about, you know, I had an idea. But I find myself now on stage singing some of those old songs and then really listening to what the words are saying. So, you know, it could be one night where I'm just doing What's Your Mama's Name or Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone, which was the next big #1 after Blood Red. And I really listened. Would you lay with me in a field of stone? If my needs were strong, would you lay with me? And some of the really, really great lyrics, and actually very controversial at that moment, at that time. And you know, as you know, controversial spells success, really. So
hasn't been my experience,
yeah.
but I'll take your word for it.
That's been your experience. But I really listened to those words David Allan Coe wrote, and he wrote it for his brother's wedding vows. So when you think about that song in that context, it really makes the whole song.
Well, you have accomplished so much in life, and you accomplished so much so early, having a hit record at age 13, exclamation point.
Right.
You've never been sensitive about your age, so I have no reluctance to mention.
57 and holding.
But you grew up, much of your childhood was in the 60s.
Yes.
So what do you remember from the 60s, and where were you?
Most of the 60s it was us moving around, running out of money, trying to get some kind of start for me. But my dad was the kind of guy that he would do anything to get me my start.
When you were 12 years old, you had a hit record, your first hit record, at age 13, Delta Dawn. Now we're edging into the 70s, right?
Right. It was March of �72 when I actually went to Nashville. I didn't even they didn't think enough of me to even sign me to an album. They signed me for 3 songs. And the first one we cut was Delta Dawn.
Did you have any sense when you were recording Delta Dawn that was going to be the catapult for your career?
I had no idea. I really didn't. I knew I liked the song. I had turned down Happiest Girl in the Whole USA because Al Gallico had the publishing on it, and he brought in the 45 of Donna Fargo's later on #1 record. But he had control of it, and Billy and him were good friends, so he played it for me, and I said, you know, I think it's a great song, but it's not my song. And so they go out scratching their heads, and Billy goes, you heard her, boys. And they're thinking, oh, Billy's lost it because he's starting to listen to a 13-year-old kid. Which, you know, Billy was a little left of center. But he was making all the hits at that time in Nashville. He was recording everybody, and so they couldn't say much to him.
Well, Delta Dawn takes off. Next thing you know, you're on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
True or untrue, that at that age you weren't quite sure what Rolling Stone was or the impact, that you would rather be on the cover of Country Music magazine.
Right, on the cover of the Music City News. No, I didn't really know, and it took years later to really realize what an incredible feat that was.
All right, but it launched you in many important ways. So let's go on through the 70s. Let's talk about your most popular songs in the 70s. Let's go down a list.
Well, I had cut Delta Dawn, and then after that I had a pretty good hit, like top 5 with Jamestown Ferry. And then I had What's Your Mama's Name.
By the way, for whatever it's worth, which I suspect is nothing, I love What's Your Mama's Name.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I love that song too. I really have a soft spot for story songs. And at that time, for sure, because I love telling a story. And the next #1 record was Blood Red and Going Down. It was a Curly Putman song, and about a girl that, you know, that is with her dad, and her dad ends up killing her mom and her boyfriend, you know. So these stories, in What's Your Mama's Name, similar type thing, but they were a little older songs than they were older songs than I was, you know.
Well, I want to pick up on that. They were older songs than you were, because you're still a teenager, in fact, from the early part of the 70s.
And I was still 14 at that point.
What did that feel like? What did you feel like when you're singing these songs, which were mature subjects, to say the least, but you're not of an age where I would have thought you could fully understand these songs?
Right. Well, you know, Dan, I don't think I really did. I didn't think too much about it, but I know that my dad, from the time I was 7 years old, he would mentor me and say, Tanya, you got 2 problems. He said, one of them is you're a girl, and the other one is you're a 9-year-old girl. So he said, you're going to have to sing that song that you choose better, with more feeling. He didn't say better, he just said with more feeling than the original artist had, whoever sang it. He said, because they're not going to believe a 9-year-old kid singing, you ain't woman enough to take my man. You know, it's just not believable. And so he said, you're going to have to really hump up and pour it in there, lay it in there like Hank Williams would. So he would make me do it, not make me, but he would ask me to do songs over and over and over again until I really, where he felt that I had really put a lot of feeling in it.
You've had so many terrific songs. If you have to pick one song that you want to be remembered for and by, what would it be?
Delta Dawn.
You didn't hesitate about it?
No. Delta Dawn will always be my favorite song. It is sentimental. It is, in a strange way, just sort of one of those things that you think always was meant to be. It was in a little box somewhere and under the chair, and I happened to find that little box and open it up, and there was the beginning of my career. And I just think that song, we all want a song like that. Everybody wants a song like that that'll be a hit no matter what year it came out.
And some people sing a lifetime, and sometimes people sing a lifetime at a very high level and never have a hit the likes of that.
Absolutely. And to have the first hit, the first one, if you knew all the circumstances about me and my dad flying to Nashville, and we didn't have money to fly to Nashville. He didn't think to ask the record label for the money, you know? And stay at the hotel at the King of the Road in Nashville for 2 weeks. He went home, we had 20 bucks. He had probably 20 bucks in his pocket. But my dad is the soul to me. I give him all the credit. I think if, you know, I would have listened a lot more during those times when my life kind of went off the track, that I wouldn't have some of the problems I had later on in life. You know, he had the best interest for me in mind, and I hear his voice all the time when I'm talking to my girls or my son. I just hear him right here, because I'm saying the same words he's saying, and they're not taking it. they're not receiving it. And but I know that later on, as long as I plant that seed, that later on they'll learn it.